Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at, go over this. So again, do this on your own to see if you get what's going on, because watching me do it just, defeats the purpose really. So try this on your own, page 1 and 2, and then watch the video to correct your errors, and then try number 3 for a grade. So, so see how this goes. So the first one, it says, draw 243 or 243 in base 5. And again, it just wants you to draw it. So 2 stands for 2 flats, 4 stands for 4 longs, and 3 stands for 3 singles. And that's all you have to draw, is because that's what 243 is. In any base, it's 2 flats, 4 longs, and 3 singles, okay? And then it says, again, draw 2,231 in base 4. And again, you're just drawing it. So that's what? 2 cubes for the first 2. And I'm going to draw, 2 flats for the next one, 3 longs, and then 1 single. Okay? And so I'm just drawing. I'm not converting. I'm just drawing. Now, the next one says to convert. Okay? And what it would be in base 4. So you're going to divide and subtract a lot because you're packaging. And when you package, you use stuff up, which is kind of subtraction. So I like to make my chart of 4. So my singles are worth 1. My longs are worth 4. Flats are 4 squared, right? Which is 16. Cubes would be 4 by 4 by 4, which is 4 cubed. That's 64. And I don't need any bigger than that because 64 times 4 is going to be too big. So I'm just going to stop there. So then when you convert, you're packaging. So you want to see how many of these I can make. And you want to start big to use up as many of the, if you think of it as being candy, use up as much as possible. So 64 goes into 85 once. So I know I'm going to have one of those. So in a sense, I'm dividing. I'm taking 85 divided by 64. It goes in there once. And what's left over is 21? All right. So 16 goes into 21 once. So again, I can use up 16 of them. And what's left? 5. And so it looks like 4 goes in there once. So 5 minus 4 is 1. And it looks like there's 1 left over. And that would be in base 4. So I have 1 cube, 1 flat, 1 long, and 1 single. And that would be in base 4. And if you want to check your answer, you could add these back up. So 64 plus 16 is 80. And then I have 4 here and 5 there, so that's 85. So I know I'm right, okay, by just undoing the math. All right, number 4, it says draw 2 flats, 1 long, and 2 singles. Okay, so I'm going to draw 2 flats, 1 long, and 2 singles. And it says, what number did you just draw? Well, that would be 2, 1, 2, or 212. And then it says, what bases could the number be in? Well, it could be in 3 or above. It cannot be in base 2 because in base 2, you don't have to. You'd only have 0s and 1s. So, but it could be in base 3, base 4, base 5, base 6, base 60. And yes, you can have bases higher than 10. So I know 3 or above because I see 2s in there. All right, now we're counting and we're trying to figure out what base we're in. So it goes 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56. Now, notice normally we go 57. But it doesn't have 7s. So that must mean, but it allows 0 through 6s. So I see 0, well, not a 0, but I see 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5, and 6s. Oh, there it is, the 0, sorry, on the 60. But there's no 7. So that means that we must be in base 7 because they would have had 57, but they don't. They regrouped at 7, so I know I'm in base 7. So now I have 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68. Oh, that's a problem. Do you notice what happened? We have a 7 and an 8 there. So I know I messed up. I got to cross those off. So let's go back. So with 66, you kind of think 67 might be next, but they can't have a 7, so they would regroup. Well, when you regroup, that would be a 70. And they can't have 7 longs either, so they'd have to regroup. So that's going to jump to 100. Okay, because if you think of 67 as being 6 longs, I'll draw a picture here. 6 longs and 7, well, first of all, 6 singles, that's okay. But as soon as I add another single, I'm at 67, which they don't like. So they would regroup those 7 into another long. But 70 they don't like because they can't have 7 longs, so then they would regroup into a flat, and that's 100. So then I'm going to fill in these blanks: 100, 101, 102, 103. Okay, so it'd be 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66. They would jump to 100, 101, 102, 103. All right, let's go ahead and look at page 2. All right, so on page 2, it says, John writes the answer to the problem 531 base 4, and why should he know he's wrong? Okay, well, notice in base 4, you would only have the digits 0 through 3, because if you hit 4, you'd regroup. Okay, so why does he know he's wrong? Because he has a 5, and he's in base 4. So he has a 5, but he is in base 4, so only 0 through 3 are allowed. All right, so what does he need to fix the answer? Well, he's going to take that 531 base 4, which again, what does that mean? It means he has 5 flats, 3 longs, and 1 single. So he's going to take his flats and he's going to group 4 of them, and he's going to convert it into a cube. So now he has 1 cube, 1 flat, 3, and 1. So 1 cube, 3 is, let's see, I lost my count. 1 cube, sorry, 1 flat, my dog's whining in the background, 3 longs, and 1 single. So 1, 1, 3, 1, base 4. And I'm going to pause it for a second while I let her out before she keeps whining. So let me pause this for a second. All right, sorry about that. So dog working at home issues. Okay, so let's look at the next one. It says number 7, count in base 3. What would the first 10 numbers in base 3 be? Okay, so let's think about it. We would have 0. We would have 1. We would have 2. All right, and again, remember these are 2 singles. So what happens when I have 3 singles? I can't have that. They don't have 3. So then they'd regroup it into a 10 because it would be 1 long and 0 singles. Okay, so then I would have what? I'd have 11. I would have 12. Okay, 13 would be a problem because they don't have 3. So they would regroup into 2 longs and 0 singles. So 20, 21, 22. All right, when they hit 23, and again, I'm going to draw a picture here, it would be 2 longs and 3 singles, but they can't have 2 longs and 3 singles. So they would take their 3 singles and make another long. The problem is with that, they can't have 3 longs either because they don't like 3 of those either. So they would regroup again into a flat. So that would be 100, and then 101, 102, and that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So at 100, you're fine as far as the first numbers. So you'd have 0, 1, 2. They wouldn't have 3. They'd have 10, 11, 12. They wouldn't have 13. They'd have 20, 21, 22. They wouldn't have 23. They would not have 30. They'd jump to 100. And those would be the first 10 numbers you would have. All right, expanded form is when you do it with powers. So you're going to write a 2 with a parentheses, and we're going to put a power of 10 in there, plus a 4 with parentheses and a power of 10 in there, plus a 3 power of 10 in there, plus 2 and a power of 10. Now again, sometimes with lower elementary, we do this as 2,000 plus 400 plus 30 plus 2 for place values like the thousands, the hundreds, and the tens and the ones. But we're going to show this in place value form, which is expanded form. So singles are always your ones, so that's 10 to the 0 power, because remember in algebra, anything to the 0 power is 1. 30 is in the tens position, so that would be 10 to the first power. 400 is in the hundreds, so your 10 by the 4 is going to be 10 squared, and your thousands is 10 cubed. So you should have 2 times 10 cubed, plus 4 times 10 squared, plus 3 times 10 to the first, plus 2 times 10 to the 0. And again, the exponents tell you your regroupings. If you've had 0 regroupings, it's a single. 10 to the first, that would be 1 set of regrouping. Those are your longs. 10 squared, 2 sets of regrouping. 10 squared, that's your flats. 3 sets of regrouping. 10 cubed, that's your cubes. Okay. Next one, similar digits. It's still a 2, but now it's base 7. So you're going to write 2 times 7 plus, we'll put the powers in later, 4 times 7 plus 3 times 7 plus 2 times 7. So it's exactly the same number we had before, but it's in a different base. which means the powers or the bases are going to be different. So again, we can start with the singles. So at the end, 7 to the 0 power is your ones position. 7 to the first is your long position. 7 squared is your flat position. And 7 cubed is your cube position. So you should have 2 times 7 cubed plus 4 times 7 squared plus 3 times 7 plus 2 times 7 to the 0 power. And again, it has the same meaning. 0 power means you've regrouped it never. So those are singles. 7 to the first, they've regrouped once. Those are your longs. 7 squared, they've been regrouped twice. That's your flats. And they're squares. They're just 7 by 7. They're not 10 by 10, but they're 7 by 7. And 7 cubed means you've regrouped it 3 times, which again is a cube shape. All right, and then the last question, number 10, says, this is already in base 5, convert it back to base 10. So again, I'm going to make a picture. Singles are worth 1, longs are worth 5, flats are worth 25 or 5 squared, and 5 cubed is 5 times 5 times 5, 125. All right, and I'm just going to draw my picture, and I'm going to dump them out. Like I'm going to multiply and add. So I have 1 cube, which is 125, plus I have, 0 flats. I have 3 longs, so 3 longs would be 5 each. So I'm going to take 5 times 3, which gives me a total of 15 for those guys. And then I have 4 singles, so that's going to be 4. All right, so I'm going to have 125, 15, and 4. So 125, and if I add 15 to that, I'm at 140, and then add in the 4, I get 144. Okay, and if you want to check this, you could like convert into it just to make sure you get the same answer. But again, if I have 1 cube, I have 125 individual pieces in there. I have 0 flats, so I have none in there. I have 3 longs, and so forth. And again, if you think of it as being backwards, when you convert, you subtract and divide. You divide to see how many times it goes in there and see how many you can make it, and then you subtract what you've used. So it makes sense when you unconvert that you would kind of multiply and add. So I didn't have to multiply the 125 because I only have 1 of them. But the 3 longs, I have 3 of them, and they're each worth 5. So I multiply and get that 15 and then the 4. So again, I draw 1 cube, 0 flats, 3 longs, and 4, and then I just kind of total that all up, which is 144. All right, hopefully that helps. So then for your homework, what I want you to do is check your errors on this and try to fix them. And then go ahead and do page 3 for a grade. Okay, so do page 3 for a grade. All right, good job. Keep working hard. A lot of this isn't just natural, so sometimes it takes a little bit of time.